Welcome to Podtendo's Legend of Zelda Retrospective. We're going to go in-depth into characters, game design, and thematical elements for the Legend of Zelda games for the Nintendo 64. Enjoy. Welcome to Podtendo's Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Retrospective. We are going to be diving into the thematical elements, gameplay / game design, and the characters that have been captivating gamers since 1998, and really take our time and enjoy this game that became a cultural phenomenon. Oh, what a tight intro I wrote there. Oh, I'm your co-host, Mick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Tyson.
Ah, that's better. I was rambling on the first one. I just didn't have it. Good job, me. That's nice. That's a little bit of a recap of what happened in the first episode, because this is part 2 of the retrospective. We looked at the pop culture landscape, told our first memories, and started our adventure. We were told about a dark force rising in Hyrule, and met our hero Link, and started our journey to save the land. So, pretty exciting.
Yeah. It's a good first step. I know we're a little timid to get going, but much like our character Link, we got a big adventure ahead of us. So I'm looking forward to it, because this one's a game changer.
Oh, 100%. And I think we'll dive a little bit more into that today. I know last episode, I do feel like we were a little mismatched and we jumped all over the place, and I ended up in post going back and recording the story elements because we completely forgot about that. I'm sorry. That's weird. Anyways, so we have some more stuff to get through today. We can keep diving into this fun adventure. So we're looking at The Legend of Zelda. I don't know if I went through these notes last time, but I'll do it today. It was developed by Nintendo. It sold 7.6 million copies. It was released in November 23rd, 1998. How Long to Beat has this game at 27 hours. You can play it on the N64, the 3DS remake. There's a copy on the GameCube, as well as it's on the Wii and Wii U virtual consoles. So you just can't get enough, you know?
Yep. No, Nintendo knew what they had, and they had a winner. So they kept remaking this, because this game has topped a few greatest games of all time lists.
Yeah.
I'm sure they people would probably change it now,
yes,
but I think for its time, definitely very, very cool. And I think it's nice that it's still available. Like, even to a point where if you have a 3DS, you can play a very nice remake of this game that smooths out a lot of the pixelation.
I mean, like, probably the best way to play this game, unless you're looking for that old retro experience, that 3DS remake is top-notch. I think we'll get to it later in this retrospective, but yeah, for now we'll just kind of look at, I guess, the rest of Adult Link, or Child Link, spoiler, story. So, there you go. So, move on to the development details. That's one of our OG categories we have to get through. We did not do that on the first one, so let's do that today. So this game was first shown as a tech demo in 1995. They had plans to release Ocarina of Time on the 64DD, a disk drive peripheral for the N64. The team was concerned that the N64 cartridge size and planned to have Link use Ganon's castle as a central hub, much like Mario 64. Link would travel through paintings to get to new areas. Later, a doppelganger of Ganon that rides through paintings was used as the boss in the Forest Temple. Oh, that's neat. I didn't know that. Yes, you did. Yeah.
I can imagine it now.
Yeah. There were 5 directors on this project that were in charge of different areas, from Link's actions, transforming 2D items into 3D items, camera experiments, motion capture, sound, and the flow of time. So those day and night cycles. 120 people worked on this game, including stunt performers used to capture the effects of sword fighting. Miyamoto wanted this game to be a first-person adventure, but this idea was abandoned once the idea of Child Link came about. The Z targeting system was created for this very game to help with combat. They created an in-world explanation that a fairy would help guide Link. Due to this, they called the fairy Navi, short for navigation.
So when your GPS is yelling at you, you have your own Navi. Aren't you excited?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They wanted this game to be cinematic, yet distinguishing from films. All the cutscenes are generated with real-time computing on the N64 rather than full-motion video. The game was set to be released in 1997, but was delayed to allow for more development. Good choice. North American customers who pre-ordered this game would receive a gold cartridge and a plastic card reading Collector's Edition. Ooh. Several versions of the Ocarina of Time were produced. Later versions changed Ganondorf's blood from red to green and removed the Islamic chanting from the Fire Temple.
Interesting. Now, do you know if we have, like, because I'm pretty sure we got the original, right?
Yep.
So we got the red blood and the chanting and everything, so.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and like this game, I think that, just to touch point on the targeting, it's like that is something that is so common in every like 3D action game nowadays, is a way to lock onto an enemy so you don't have to move the camera around unless it's like generally for PC. So it's neat that like even modern console games are still using systems that were developed back for the N64. So very cool. Like it's neat that they know that they have five directors, though, because like there is lots of going on in different parts of this game, but to have them all work together quite seamlessly, I think is fantastic. So whoever was the main creative lead on this was just like, they nailed it.
Oh, when you find everyone that wants to go in that same direction, it has kind of that same vision. It really kind of helps those projects come together, right? So, and I mean, so I started thinking about when I was talking about the story. So when I was done editing the very first part, and we were kind of looking at the story a little bit and touching on this and that, and I don't think the Ocarina of Time story is what really drove people to it, right? You know, whereas when we looked at Final Fantasy VII, the game itself is nothing special, nothing extraordinary, but the story is what compels you, right? The characters is kind of what goes you forward. But in this game, it was specifically that 3D game design that I think was such a huge aspect of it. So when we're going through this, we're not going to be looking at the cool story elements, but like, wow, they really challenged the narrative with that decision, because they don't do that in this game, right? It's pretty cut and dry, Link to the Past in 3D. Right? If you played that game, you get this game, right? But what they did was the game design that we still see today, right? Like there's some things they did in '98 that you still see in 3D gaming today because they perfected it out of the chute, right? So we're gonna take kind of that eye. At least I'm gonna take that eye kind of going forward, right? And as we kind of look at things and go from there. So that's just the one thing I wanted to touch on before we kind of start rolling into our level notes, which is our Let's Play section of this podcast, and we're going to talk about the rest of Child Link's experience. So there you go, fun stuff. All right. So last time we did not discuss the game design, which is a big part of our future discussions. So let's look at what elements from the initial areas of the 3D game design went really well. All I could come up with is that bridge in the Kokiri Forest and the jump attack puzzle in that vertical section of the Deku Tree. Those were the only ones that jumped out to me. So let's carry on and see what other elements pop up today. So now we're out of the Kokiri Forest. As we head back to town, we are stopped by Mido, who blames us for killing the great Deku Tree. We are not free to explore the Lost Woods, we are free, but I would wait till later, just because we have to come back here. Before we head out of the forest, though, we're stopped by our friend Saria. She tells us that she always knew we were different, and gives us a fairy ocarina as a totem of our friendship. Aww.
Yeah. And she hopes that we'll always keep it, and it will keep a memory of her in our hearts, or something like that.
She specifically says, I hope another girl doesn't give you a better ocarina one day, which makes you forget about this ocarina.
And you immediately throw it in the garbage, because I really hope that it's a totem of our friendship and you'll keep it forever.
Awkward. Very awkward.
Very
Anyways.
awkward.
So Saria is built up really early on as kind of a big deal, right? She's the very first character we see. She comes running up and talks to us. She has this emotional scene as we leave the forest, and we're like, oh my god, we're leaving our friend. But then kind of between her, it just kind of doesn't do anything. Like, we go back and see her at some point, and we can talk to her once we learn her song, but it's like, wow, look at this cool character development for this. Oh, now she's not doing anything else. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah,
it's
and I think
weird.
it does kind of go back to that point where like the story depth is pretty shallow, but it's more of like the like actual like set pieces in the gameplay. So to have like your characters interact to a point where it's like, oh, there's a little like an emotional scene between two best friends, like kind of passing. It's like, hey, it's our last day of like high school together, kind of thing, and you're off to college, and I won't see you anymore, kind of thing, and. You get that vibe, like you get that. It doesn't really go anywhere or whatever, but and I kind of like that's the level of it. But I think that little scene is kind of sticks with you, because it it's those slow down moments, and I think that this game, we're so used to rushing from objective to objective to a point where it's just like sometimes you just let your characters interact to a point where it's like I think. And then after this, like after it happens, Link doesn't say anything. He just kind of like runs away. And I was kind of like took it. It's like, oh, he's emotionally broken up, doesn't really know how to react, so he just runs.
Yeah.
So he's still kind of that cowardly kid that still has a lot to grow. So I like it. It's little touches.
Okay. All right. Let's now on to Hyrule Field / Castletown. So we are shown the vast Hyrule Field that we can explore at our leisure. A stupid owl tells us to check out the castle, even though the tree told us to check out the castle. So, do you want me to say that again?
No.
You clicked yes, meaning no, so I will say that. Stupid Owl tells us to check out the castle. Do you want me to say that again? They almost have it timed out perfectly, so you can't reach the drawbridge before nightfall. You have to survive the night. You can explore the mostly useless castle town, talk to the bird again, talk to Malin, and get an egg. So, the day and night cycle is often criticized, but I think it's kind of a cool way to show how you can interact with this larger space, right? They kind of put you up a barrier and say, no, you have to at least spend one night fighting monsters and running around and looking at stuff, right? Like maybe go see what else is around this area, right? Until daytime when the monsters go away and you can go back into the castle. So, like, I think it's kind of a bold game design, and it's one of those things where they force you to explore through just a natural system that exists in the game, right? And you're like, oh, okay, so now apparently if it's nighttime, stuff's going to be different than daytime. That's interesting. This was one of the first games that had a day and night cycle, people. Come on, how critical can we be?
Totally. And I think that, like, I know some people criticize the day and night cycle. It's like, but no, that's the point, is the game wants you to slow down and enjoy it. So you can't just immediately run to the castle and finish on the same thing, because they want you to be like, no, when nighttime comes out, there's monsters running around and you got to deal with it. It's not safe at night, and that's why you don't see any of the NPCs running out at night. That's why they're all in their homes. So like and if you go to Long Long Ranch after night, you know, there's even enemies that appear in there. So it's like there's this whole cool dynamic to it, and I think as a kid, when you hear that wolf's howl, you're like, like, okay, it's nighttime, and the skull people can show up anytime, so I've got to keep moving. And then as soon as you hear like the birds crow or the rooster crow, you're like, okay, now I'm safe. They're all going to disappear essentially immediately. Yeah. And it's like a minute. So if you can't spend 1 minute enjoying the game just because like the way they have it timed out, it's like sometimes the game designers are just trying to slow you down so you actually enjoy the game and get to experience it. And I think that we're so used to just being able to run as fast as we can and speed run it and go at our own pace, that as soon as we get slowed down a little bit, sometimes like people just get like grumpy, and you're like, no, just take it for what it is. They're showing you that this is a day and night cycle. Like, that's why they have it timed out that way. So.
Exactly, and this is one of those early examples of the reason that Majora's Mask has a really cool time element is because they started doing stuff in Ocarina of Time. Is it perfect? No, 100% no. But the fact it had to start somewhere, and this is where it started, right? So I mean, when you're like, oh, I love my Skyrim because it's nighttime and there's cool stuff at night. It started in Ocarina of Time. And just, not saying it has to be like we have to, but just appreciate that. So anyways, on to Hyrule Castle. So with egg in hand, or maybe it's a cuckoo now, we can go into stealth mode into the castle grounds, wake up Malin's dad, infiltrate the inner garden, and after some sneaking, we meet Zelda, who had a dream about us, plans to find 2 other spiritual stones, get Zelda's lullaby, and a note which gives us access to Death Mountain. This last playthrough I did the sequence well, but most of the time that Malon, Egg, Talon part's kind of annoying. Sometimes I forget about it, especially if it's been a while. I always get to Talon and I'm like, the Egg.
Yeah,
the stealth mechanic.
Get caught.
Yeah, the stealth mechanic is neat, but it never really comes up again. So why are we doing it now? It's done better in other games, and again, it had to be done in this game. So Wind Waker can do it way better, right? So that it can happen in Breath of the Wild. If it doesn't happen here, it'll never happen, right? So,
yep. And I think it's like it's neat. It's a stealth mission. You're trying to infiltrate the good guys. Yep. And I think that the whole scene with Zelda is very cool. Like, it's kind of like a surreal moment. That's the only time you're ever in that area of the game, and you get to see the bad guy Ganon for the first time. And essentially, it's like you don't really see too much of Ganon, but when you do, it's like, oh dang, you got this guy's like serious business. So, and he even like knows that we're like watching him. So. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a cool way of introducing a bad guy, right? And it's kind of the, like, normally, if like a Super Nintendo, you kind of get this as a, if you don't press start, they tell you the kind of the Aghanim story, right? Like where he comes from. This one, they actually show it to you as part of the natural game progression. So there you go. So now we're on to Hyrule Field / Kakariko Village. So we can play around in Castletown. We can definitely do the archery game. Not Bomb Chew Bowling yet. I think we need a bomb bag for that. We can explore Long Long Ranch and meet that cute little ranch girl and her dad. Maybe play some games, get some bottles, find a song. We can go to Kakariko Village. In there's a couple of different mini games we can play. We can exchange gold Skullatas, get some rewards. We can buy more bottles. We can go to the graveyard. We do need to find a steel shield. So either you have to purchase one, or you can find one in the graveyard before heading up the mountain. And I think this game might be one of the strongest parts of the game. It indicates that we should go to Death Mountain and rewards us, but it kind of rewards you from going anywhere else in this massive world, right? So, I mean, not getting the upgrades, not doing these things would be detrimental. You can organically find the Hyrule Shield if you're playing it really well. It's just kind of neat. And I do think it holds up as one of the stronger parts of the game. Now, for myself, I always go through and I do the Long Long Ranch, and I get the songs, and I make sure I get the shield, and like I know all the optimal ways. So actually, I challenged myself, and I said, what if I just didn't collect the additional stuff? Would that take away from the experience? And the correct answer is, it is. It does. And I think if you didn't know the correct order to do things, I think it'd be fun to explore these things. Because it's not a lot, but it's just enough to make you want to do it. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I think that as soon as you're kind of done with Hyrule Castle, it's kind of like the sea is your oyster. Like you can, I think, can you go fishing? I think you can go fishing right now. So like, I mean, if you want to go if you want to just speed run into the fishing game, feel free.
100%.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. It's like, kind of like a cool, chill little place to go hang out with buddy that has a little fishing pond, and that game by itself is worth the price of admission because the amount of hours I spent fishing.
Oh my goodness, so much fishing. But anyways, so in theory, we've got our Hyrule Shield, and it's kind of cute that the guard says you can't come unless you have a shield, because it's kind of a callback to when Mido did that at the beginning of the game. It's like you need certain items to progress. Oh, cool. Anyways, so we're like, now you can go up Death Mountain. So we're gonna head up Death Mountain. So if we were smart though, we would brave the Lost Woods. Oh, see, I forgot about this. And get Saria songs. Remember when I said you could do it after you beat the Great Deku Tree, but don't? This is when you do the Lost Woods. You can get more Deku Seeds by playing a little game. There's some like heart pieces to collect. You have to go through this little maze, get the song. Now we head up Death Mountain to Goron City. We meet Darunia, and if we played Saria's song, he's like, I was kind of depressed, but now I'm not depressed because I like dancing, and I thought that was hilarious as a kid. He gives you the Goron bracelet, which allows you to access these bomb flowers, which then can blow up stuff, and gives you access to the next dungeon, to Dongo's Cavern.
Yeah, and I think if you go play, once you learn Saria's song, and if you kind of backtrack through the Lost Woods, you can meet an interesting fellow who seems fairly depressed and has a very weird looking face, talking about wearing a mask. So I think you play Saria's song for him, and he gives you, I don't know if it's a bottle or a heart piece, but he gives you something important, and that character might come back. That character might come back. So I just wanted to quickly mention him before I forget.
Look at that random guy we met in that forest there. Personally, I hate this sequence. It's awful. There's a shortcut between Goron City and the Lost Woods, but you need access to bombs or bomb flowers, right? But the fact that you have to go see Darunia, he's like, I wish there was a song that would cheer me up. Oh shoot. You then have to go all the way back to the forest, find Saria, and then go all the way back around. Is really bad game design, right? Like maybe there's a switch you could press that gives you the shortcut rather than making you backtrack all the way through the world. But I just think I think they actually wrecked the sequence. I think they totally intended you to have access to some type of explosives or something, like even just like a Deku stick with some fire, and you could like burn some cobwebs and blow up some rocks, which gives you straight access. I think that'd be much cleaner. It would make this just better. But I honestly think they screwed that up when they were doing the sequencing for this game, or just didn't have time or something like that. It was coming, they just didn't get there. Don't like it. Anyways, on to the Dongo Cavern. So once inside, we have to head to the right, fight some lizards, unlock the left door, lower some stairs, make our way up and around to the right side of the dungeon where we fight some more lizards and get the bomb bag. We can now complete a puzzle that sees us light up some eyes, which opens up a door to the last area of the dungeon and the boss. I am sometimes amazed with how I can do one big long run-on sentence and explain exactly how to beat a dungeon. That's a skill that some people don't have.
Yeah, the one sentence walkthrough.
There you go. So the boss here is King Dodongo. When he opens his mouth, we have to throw bombs into it, and then we attack his head. Rinse and repeat.
Then I think 3 bombs in the mouth, and then he blows up, rolls into the lava, and dies. So
yeah.
Way to go, Link. You murdered a giant dragon in his own home. But he was eating Goron, so probably a good thing. Yeah. Probably a good thing.
Probably, yeah, and like was he eating Gorons, or was he just not giving them access to bombs or rocks?
I feel like he was not giving them access to bombs, and by killing this thing, you unlock a worse thing that runs around in the fire dungeon or temple. Yeah, and that's what eats the Gorons because they're all scared in the dark time.
Yeah, like I think in this one everyone's just really hungry because you walk around, they're like, oh, I'm so hungry. I wish the Dongo Caverns was, but there's monsters there now and we can't get our rocks. So you have to go in and stop the monsters and then go get their food. Because they live in a rock city and they're hungry. Idiots.
Yeah, no, because they have the best rocks in the Dodongo Cavern because they're picky eaters. They're foodies, these Gorons.
Yeah. Anyways, back to our original premise of this, the game design. So I think the use of vertical space for the drop the bomb in the eye puzzle is super interesting. You kind of do a similar task to get into this dungeon. So there's one bomb flower, you have to pick it up and be able to throw it and kind of have that spatial recognition, understand that if you throw it down into the cavern, you can then blow up kind of the rocks that block access to the dungeon, which Ganon did, by the way. So he's kind of like overshadowing all the dark deeds in this land. But I think it's a great use of 3D space, right? We're on top. They have a little bit of a puzzle, and like figuring it out I think would be like really rewarding. But I always think like when I do this puzzle, there's these little gaps in this little bridge you're on, and you have to drop the bombs down onto his eyes. I think it's done really well. Like, again, nice game design.
Yeah, I think that this like drop the bomb on the eye puzzle is a lot better than the pick up the bomb and run it to the spinning pot in the Goron City. That I hate that bomb puzzle because it's not just that you threw the bomb in there. It depends on the face that's showing for the heart piece. So it's like, that's frustrating. That's the one thing, but it's not necessary. It's just for a heart piece. So it's like, I'll give it a pass, but I hate that puzzle. Yeah.
Anyways, now that we're done that, we talk to Saria. I think we can play her song, and she says, oh man, I think there's a spiritual stone up the Zora River. If we head that way, so after this dungeon, we can climb Death Mountain to get some magic. I forgot about that. You can do some side quests if you like. More bottles, heart pieces. We should have probably like around 30 skeletas by now, which should get us the adult wallet. So you can carry 200 rupees, which feels really good. Because like 99 is just really restrictive. And there's nothing really to buy for 99. It's a stupid number. I hate it. Then, after Saria's Hint, we can head up Zora's River. We can play Zelda's Lullaby to get into Zora's Domain, play a diving game, get a silver scale, warp to Lake Hylia to find a message in a bottle. If we present the letter to King Zora, he will move very slowly and give us access to Lord Jabu Jabu. There you go.
Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite areas of the game.
Yeah.
I love the diving game. Like, that dive off the waterfall is so satisfying. Like, that is just the coolest thing. And then you get to hold your breath and try to collect all the coins, and then you get a silver scale so you can like dive deeper, and like it just generally feels fun. And like it's got like a really cool like, not Caribbean, but it's got like some steel drum thing going on to it, and it's very like casual. You feel like all the Zoras are just hanging out, relaxing, swimming around, not doing too much. And you're like, these are my people. These are the lazy people that I could hang out. These would be my people, for sure. So, and I know a lot of people like when Lord Jabu Jabu like slowly squeezes over. Some people are like, oh, he just takes too long. It's like, that's the joke. It's the Peter Griffin, like when he gets hit in the shin doing the, it's like, it's that joke. That's the joke.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, it definitely, they knew it was going too slow. But I agree with you. This is definitely an overlooked area in the game. There are tons of little side quests. There's a warp point that makes sense. So you get the silver scale, and then let's say you pause or you save and you end up in Link's house. You can then go into the Lost Woods. There's a pool of water. If you swim down, you come out right at the mouth of Zora's River, and you're back in Zora's Domain, and you pick it up. No problem. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Versus the Death Mountain one doesn't make sense, because if you're on Death Mountain and you save, you end up in Link's house, and unless you have the Goron's bracelet or potentially the bomb bag, you're not getting back up the mountain without going the long way. So they did it right. Good job. Anyways, on to Lord. Oh, do you have anything else to say?
I was just gonna say there's a cool little shop, and it gives you a little spoiler of things to come, with a little blue tunic just sitting there taunting you, just floating there, and you're just like, I want that blue tunic. Like, I want it. Why can't I buy it? Let me buy it. I have money. Let me buy it. And it's like, no, it's not ready yet. Not. It's like, as soon as I get that, I'm not gonna take it off.
Yeah. So now we're on to Lord Jabu Jabu. So we have to feed him a fish to gain access to this level. Inside, we meet Princess Ruto. Rescue her when she falls in a pit. Solve some puzzles in the bowels. Get a boomerang. Cut off some tails. And backtrack to the main room to have an octopus mini-boss. After the boss fight, the princess is kidnapped. We follow the path around to the entrance, which leads us to the final boss room. Here we fight Baronade. You have to kind of start by cutting his like tendrils off the ceiling, and then he spins around, and you stun him, and you have to attack these like little shield guys, and then you just keep attacking with your sword. Rinse and repeat. So there you go.
Yeah. I always thought that this boss was super confusing as a kid, because I was like, I always get just stuck, and I always like go down the wrong hole or whatever, and you literally like you basically just like go all the way straight, and then you fall down, and then you essentially like backtrack 2 rooms, and you go up again, and then you're back to where you were. And it's like, how come I struggled so hard with going forward and then back to? Like, I guess because I just kept wanting to explore like further and further and further. I wasn't just like thinking it through. So I remember when I first played this, I got super lost and confused, and I was like, did not really get it. And you run into the little, not the blooper guys, but like the little squid, the octopus guys.
Yep.
And the little mini boss. It's like that. I did not get it as a kid, but you know, as an adult, and you kind of like figure out how the mechanics work.
Yeah.
Or I feel if I actually just read the walkthrough that we had, I probably would have had a better grasp. But you know, I just look at the pictures, so much more of a visual learner.
Nice. Yeah. So who knows that? Tails. So at some point, there's like these tails that come down, and you hit them with the boomerang, hit them enough, they cut off, and then the body. So there's like these weird kind of pulsating, like snake things that are in the way, and they're gone, and they open up doors, and that's kind of the keys to the section. But one tail has 2 bodies, but all the rest of them just have 1 body. I don't really understand what they're going for in this point. It seems like kind of one of those rushed things. It's okay. The boss area of this area, I think, is really well done. Definitely All the bosses are really good. I don't know if I want to rank them. But just the fact there's different elements. You got to come down from the ceiling, and then he's got 2 other forms, and it's much more advanced. Like, it feels like I'm like, oh, this is a real threat. This is a real freaking threat in this game. I love it. Last time we were harping, there's no bad enemies. This area definitely bumps up that danger. And then, yeah, again, that kind of using that 3D space to remember which hole to drop down. So be able to kind of visualize from the bottom room if you look up and say, okay, that's the hole I have to go down, and then trying to like use your spatial recognition to figure out which hole it is. Once you know which hole it is, it's super easy, but I think that's a pretty good use of 3D space and memorization.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that this, like, the levels have progressively got more difficult. Like, the Great Deku Tree is very straightforward with a pretty easy boss, and I mean, if you mess up, I mean, then it kind of gets hard, because then she starts spawning enemies. The Dongo Cavern is like, once you like just recognize the pattern, throw the bombs, pretty straightforward. Where I find like this is like the step up, like the real challenge of you as a kid. So it has a good climax to this, and I like it. I feel like it progresses. Like there's a nice like difficulty progression. You're not just like, it's not just breeze through the first 3 levels or whatever. Like, it does get harder. So
yeah, nice. Okay, and then finally, now we're done. We have 3 stones. So Princess Ruto goes from kind of a bitch to like lusting very quickly, and gives us the Zora Sapphire. We can now head back to the castle with the 3 stones in hand and watch a cutscene of Zelda and Impa escaping on horseback and coming face to face with Ganon. He applauds us for standing up to him, leaves us be, which gives us some time to recover the Ocarina of Time, which Zelda like freaking, I don't know, she's got an arm like a freaking rocket, throws it into the moat, we get it, and then we learn the Song of Time. I guess our next stop on this adventure is the Temple of Time, and we'll stop there. So
yeah, we got like Tom Brady over there who's riding a horse with her shoulder, like, she needs to be in the NFL. Like, that is a difficult throw to be in the front of a horse, crossbody, but she's throwing backwards. Like, that girl, boom. Like, sign her up. I don't care what league you need her in. She's my starting quarterback.
Done.
Take me to fantasy football prominence, I'm telling you.
Done.
And yeah, like that entrance of Ganon, you turn around, he's just sitting on his horse, just been like smirking, knowing that he's in control of everything. You're like, this is the ultimate like badass. So cool. And like, just like, you're so small, you got your little like tiny sword or whatever, like, what are you gonna do? And he knows that, so it's just like, it's very cool little like moment and interaction of like, you first time you face to face with him, and he just like basically just bats you away and doesn't even give you a second thought, which is gonna be his downfall. So
very true. And I mean, it would just be good to note that this was from the beginning of the game, right? Like, we've already saw this was the dream that Link was having that kind of awoke him. It's just now in full, so it's kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So him having the dream, waking up and going and living his life is what kind of caused this prophecy to do. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I wonder what's going to happen in the next episode. So did we note that Saria was our friend and always will be our friend, maybe likes us, and like Darunia wants us to be his brother, and he's like, you're such a great warrior, and like Princess Ruto's like, I like you. Maybe we'll just make note of those 3 characters for no apparent reason.
Yep. Well, they seem to be the only characters that actually got given a name, aren't just like NPCs standing there.
My life is to stand at this waterfall and to throw 5 rupees for people, and then watch them try and collect them and give them presents.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
or like the one guy that's like just standing there. There's a Goron that I think's just standing outside and just like, hi. It's like, that's all he does. It's like, that's his entire life. Like, I don't think that guy's gonna be too memorable.
No, not at all. Okay, so now that we're done that, we'll pick it up next episode. Like I said, we're going to take a break. Can't rush through a good thing. And actually, there was a lot to get through. Like, when I was writing out these notes, they are almost 2 full pages in length. And that's like a long RPG. So we went into a lot of detail in that one. I definitely think it was worth it. On to one of our new sections for this retrospective, mysterious areas of Hyrule. One of Tyson's personal favorites. We're gonna hit the House of Skullata. There is a house in Kakariko Village where a rich man and his 5 sons have been cursed due to their greed. The cursed man explains the only way to break the curse is if all the gold Skullatas that litter the land are destroyed and the tokens are collected. You will get rewards for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 100 tokens. Kind of weird. But
Yeah.
what did this family do to create this curse? Who is powerful enough to cast this curse? Could it just be a standard curse set upon greedy persons? Or is it a tie to the darkness that looms over Kakariko Village? Maybe an evil shadow, or a cult, or payback for the family ties to deeds that are buried below the village?
Yeah, I don't know. But this is one of the coolest buildings in the game. Because it's like it's the secret unlockable room, but instead of just having it like be a treasure chest room or whatever, it's like they add some lore, they added some characters and some depth, and to make you wonder, like, who did set these curse on these people? Like, was it the Skullatas? Like, did they somehow wrong the Skullatas? Like, why are they turned specifically into like half spider people? Like, and we have to kill these gold Skullatas to get them? Like,
Yeah.
why would you want me to kill like special rare versions of your own race to undo this curse? So I don't know what it is, but I want to know. And it makes you want to unlock them all and save these people, because they do look happy after they're done, even though like you feel like that guy that gets like who you get to 10 and you unlock him, like he is like, oh man, I'm set, I don't care about the rest of my family, because he is smiling, happy, doing jumping jacks, while the rest of his family is just in misery still. And it's like,
it would be kind of weird for the first couple, right? Because like now you're just a regular boy, but the rest of your family are all horrible spiders.
Yep.
And like, do they talk to you? Because like, if their life is just I'm a horrible spider, but I'm kind of the same person, right? Like I can still do my my greedy job or whatever it is, right? You can go out and do stuff, son, but no, they just stay in their house with the scary spiders. It's strange.
yeah, I'm not sure, but like,
Well-
Kakariko Village is very cool. Like, there's like it's got that windmill, it's got the graveyard, it's got the Skullata house. It's even got like the hidden mystery shop in the back of the one place. Like this, there's a lot of depth in this one little town. So
Yeah, I like it.
Might play a big role coming up.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully they did like a good like foreshadowing of some of the evil that's coming to that area. So, And then about a final character study, although these are less important because, as we're highlighting, not a lot of character going on. I was gonna do character studies maybe for the Sarias and the Darunias and Rudos of the world, but is there characters there? I don't know. So this might. Well, I guess I probably should do Ganon. I'll do Ganon, but I probably won't do anyone else. So let's look at character study on Zelda. And I specifically looked at Ocarina of Time Zelda, so anything happens after this where she gets kind of more cool, we don't worry about. So the backstory. So in this story, she is part of the royal family. She does not possess any great or special powers as a child, but is quite clever and cunning. She watches the affairs of her kingdom from afar and tries her best to learn to be a great future queen. She begins to have dreams of a dark cloud covering Hyrule that comes from the southern desert, until one night a green light shines through the darkness emanating from the forest. Later that day, she meets a boy from the forest carrying a green spiritual stone, and the two of them hatch a plan to take down the Lord of the Desert, Ganon. Later, as Ganon takes over the castle, her protector, Impa, whisks her away to safety. And that's the end of the story as far as we know it.
Yeah, but it's very interesting to know that like this, there's like a little bit of political intrigue going on behind the scenes, because essentially like Zelda has like access, she's a princess, to a bunch of like knights and stuff, and even Impa. But then this random boy, she just entrusts her whole secret plan to. Could have been a spy, could have been working for the wrong team, but it's like, no, something about this guy I just trust. So, and I kind of like her in this one, because she's clever, she's smart, shows like that Zelda's not just a damsel in distress. She is actually being proactive, which I like. It's not just like she's sitting around having cake. like certain other princesses we know, she's actually trying to get plans in motion, and who knows, maybe she's wise beyond her years and has a little foresight to maybe have a big impact.
Yeah, I think she has like a sense of agency, right? Like she's doing something. She's not just like, please help. She's like, we're going to get them together. And she's like you're my hitman, right? Like she's funding this experiment. She's got the word. She has songs that do magical things around the kingdom.
Yep.
And that's
she
cool.
Gives you letters.
Yeah, the fact that she gets to do something versus like she just sits in the chapel in A Link to the Past and is like, oh no, woe's me. Whoa. So the fact they did give her some agency is kind of nice. The anatomy character, she is shown to be a young girl dressed in pink and white dress. She has blue eyes and pointed elf ears. Typical Hylian. Archetype, she's pretty typically the princess of destiny, you know. Well, look at that. She has her own autonomy, not just the damsel in distress. It's almost like I wrote the notes and then Tyson read them and thought them on, I don't know, whatever. And then about the cultural impact of this character. Her name is imprinted on the legendary game series, making her one of the most iconic video game characters, especially like female characters. She's probably up there. I don't know if we could do a power ranking, but she's like probably up there. I know Robin Williams named his daughter after her specifically. So Zelda Williams exists, named after Princess.
That's pretty cool.
And actually, I should maybe include this. I'll do it next time. I could do it at the end of this one. But there's I think a 3DS commercial
with Robin Williams, yeah,
and his daughter.
Yeah.
And they asked him to do that because they knew he was a fan and named his daughter. So, like, that's pretty cool, right? So, like, I might do that. I might throw that at the end. Actually, I'm going to do that just in honor of Robin Williams. You know what? You made me laugh. I watched Hook. Delightful. I miss you. You get to hear that kind of at the end before we go today. So that's pretty excited. But I wanted to focus on specifically her Ocarina of Time. There's really not too much to say specifically, as opposed to the character studies that have a lot more depth and backstory, say in Final Fantasy VII. Probably do Ganon, just to kind of do a nice little Triforce, and then I'll have to come up with a different segment for the rest of these shows. So that's my note.
Yeah, like we might do a touch on a group of people and just group them all in, because essentially like they each have like a sentence.
Yeah, literally a sentence, so that's probably not a bad idea to do that. So, but that's our show. So yeah, so again, we're working through some things. I think our Final Fantasy VII retrospective last year is top notch. I would love someone to come and criticize us and tell us we did a bad job. We did not add something, especially when it was kind of such a big deal. Oh, I bought Final Fantasy VII Remake, by the way. Did I tell you that?
Yes, you did. I don't know how it's going so far.
I haven't played it because I'm currently playing through Hockey and Madden right now. So,
well, we got priorities. Got lots of games on the go. I know I'm currently playing like 5 or 6. So
yeah. Anyways, that was just my random note there. And as a result, I tried to mimic the retrospective from the Castlevania Final Fantasy into this. I don't think it's working 100% well. This is definitely a lot better than the first one. The next one is going to be even better. And then we're going to have tons of fun going over the rest of the year, looking at other elements of Ocarina of Time. I made Jorah's Mask. And I think we'll keep rolling forward. You just got to be flexible. You know, something doesn't work. Just learn from your mistakes, right? So that's what I'm going to say. So did we miss anything?
I think I got to mention James Bond.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, there's like this game, these like series of games, the Ocarina of Time series, whatever the heck you want to call them, this one and Majora's Mask are just such like staples of 3D gaming and just like Nintendo and just our childhood. So it's like that real trifecta that we just wanted to just spend a lot of time going to and enjoying our trip, because I think because we play through so many games usually for this game or this podcast, it's nice to slow down on some of the ones that really meant a lot to us. Not saying that all the games that we don't do this for didn't mean a lot to us, but there's just some of those games that we feel like we need to do a certain service to. So,
well, I mean, look, like this game is much bigger than Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. Like if we did this for that game, it'd be really redundant when we're telling you exactly step by step what a level looks like, right? So yeah, like it's the scale of the game, the scope, and just kind of I mean, this was a cultural freaking phenomenon, right? Like, this game changed gaming. So we have to do it justice. I think it's just as important as Final Fantasy VII out there in the gaming world. Without this, we're not where we're at today, right? So we have to kind of give it its credit. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here, right? Just kind of be fans and gush and kind of, again, we're saying this is not the best game, but we have to at least appreciate what it did. And I think that's kind of with anything, right? Like, you don't have to be super fans of Matthew McConaughey. But like, you can appreciate his work, right? Like, you know what, like, you know what I mean? Like, why I was thinking about Matthew McConaughey right now. I think it's probably because I want to go out and drive a Lincoln after this. That's probably wrong.
Not a bad play. Just go driving a Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln.
But yeah, you know, I think that like,
I don't even know
you have to do certain justice, and we love Zelda, so I can't wait till our next one, because I may already be on to the next game. Because I couldn't help myself.
So I was actually going to say that. Like, how are you playing this? So I played through this game in full, did most of the collectibles, got a lot of heartbeats. Like, I probably almost hit 17 of the 20. So I did a lot. Beat it, and now I've actually went and replayed it, and I'm playing a minimalist run. So I'm collecting heart pieces that come from bosses. But I'm not doing any side quests. So I have just the one bottle and anything that comes along with the story. So I'm not going to get Epona. And I'm going to try and play the game that way with kind of no add-ons, just to kind of get a real feel for how they made the game, right? So not the superlatives, let's overgrind, let's make my character at level 50 and try and beat the end boss. Let's try and beat them at like level 25, right? And I'm going to see if that kind of changes the way I experience this game. And it is taking me a while. Because yes, as soon as I got the Ocarina of Time, I was like, save, quit. And ever since then, I've been like, I should pick it up and just play a couple levels. I'll just play through that level once or twice. It's fine. So I'm probably going to end up playing this game like 3 or 4 times by the end of the year. So
yeah, probably. I want to get through both of them before I replay this one. Like, I'll probably finish up Majora's Mask and then have this one replayed again by the time we do the final one, to be honest, because I'm doing like a completion run, because I've never completed this game 100%.
Okay.
But I also want to do a little speed run, because there's some little glitches I want to see if I can work on, and yeah, I think I'm going to have some fun, because there's some goofy things you can do, like try to beat this game without a sword. So
okay, sweet, cool, yeah. Well, with that, look forward to kind of keep playing this game, and yeah, let's keep rocking and rolling. I'm going to hit stop, and then I can, because I was teasing it 2 weeks ago, what game we're going to play next. Finally, we'll know, because we definitely talked about it 2 weeks ago, and not just did one bunch of recordings one day. So I'm going to press stop, and bye, guys.
The first time I saw you, I knew we'd be linked forever. For you, I traveled to the 4 corners of the world. I faced adversity. I became a hero.
Dad.
I saved your kingdom.
Dad.
Yes, Zelda?
Are you mixing me up with the princess again?
Hard to say. You're both pretty magical.